What's up, gaming fans? It is Preach as always. Today, we are going to go over exactly why Black Ops 6 has the worst spawn logic of any Treyarch Call of Duty that has ever been made. We're first going to put a picture up on screen of the overlay of the map Skyline from the BO6 beta, and we're going to go over some scenarios of the traditional Treyarch style spawn logic. After we go over that, we're going to put the same overlay up, but we're going to go over the newer spawn logic, the way that it worked in this beta, and explain why that is a problem and why it is part of what is being used along with SBMM and EOMM to manipulate how the matches go. So we're going to take a look at that right now. Okay, so for starters, let's take a look at the regular spawns for Team A and Team B. So as you can see, I have a large A and a large B on far opposite sides of the map. And then corresponding with the color, there is a line that is kind of like the spawn line that you don't want to push past as the other team if you want to keep them spawning in that area. Now, keep in mind, again, this is the old way that spawns used to work, and this is a very dumbed down, simplified version. It is more complex than this, but this is to give you a base idea in case you didn't already know. So the first thing we want to look at the bottom part of the map, we're going to see a gunfight that takes place in the bottom center where Team B wins Gunfight 1 or GF1 over Team A. And if we look where Team A spawns after that, if you look at the top left corner, we have an A player spawning after Gunfight 1. So that is where he spawns, still back in his zone after the original gunfight that took place near mid-map after the match started. Gunfight 2 also takes place in mid-map in the upstairs hallway, where player A wins over the player from Team B, shooting from one lofted area to the other down that hallway where you, I'm sure, have been in gunfights. And if we notice where after Gunfight 2, Team B spawns, if you look at the bottom right of your screen, you're going to see player B spawning down here in the bottom right in their original spawn because those gunfights took place mid-map. Now, what happened in the meantime is a player from Team A had time to push around the far left side of the map and pushed past, if you look, the spawn line for Team B and wins a gunfight over the player that just spawned there after gunfight number 2. When Team B loses that gunfight in their own spawn and Team A has now come into that spawn, if you look at after gunfight 3 has taken place, you're going to see that player B spawns all the way back over here on A's original spawn. So now the spawns have completely flipped. Now, if we look back to the middle of the map, Team B pushes back through towards the swimming pool and kills a player from Team A who is trying to push past the pool towards the Team B side of the map. When this happens, now that spawns have flipped, after Gunfight 4, if you look at the top right-hand corner of your map, you're going to see that Team A spawned on this side. So now spawns have completely flipped due to the player that won Gunfight 3 pushing in and winning that gunfight. Spawns have now completely flipped, and so you're going to see this is how the game worked in the old school way. You would spawn on your side until players pushed up too far, winning gunfights up too far in the enemy team's spawn, and then the spawns will begin to flip. Yes, it is a little bit more complex than this simplified layout, but that is how this would go down. That's where they're going to spawn. And then essentially now you're just going to be pushing the opposite direction as teams is how you started. But let's take a look at how this actually happens now in Black Ops 6 that is far inferior in my opinion. Now this gets complex really fast, but we're going to start the first fight in the exact same place with the teams having obviously the same original spawns. So if we look at that first fight down there in the bottom middle, player B is still going to win against player A off spawn. The first two fights are going to go exactly the same off of spawn as we did in the other scenario. But then this is where everything changes in how the game works now. And look, this is not an exact science. This is mostly just me being frustrated with this. So this might be slightly exaggerated, but honestly, Probably not much. So player B wins that first fight. And let's look at where player A spawns now after gunfight 1. If you look to your right from where player B was at that just won, you're going to see an A there that spawned after gunfight 1, spawning right behind the player that just killed him. Gunfight 2 happens again in that upstairs hallway where player A wins and player B loses. And after gunfight 2, you're going to see in the far bottom right hand corner of your screen, player B spawns there in his original spawn, which may feel normal. But the problem is player A has just spawned between him and his other teammate. So gunfight 3 is going to be player A killing player B that originally killed him just a second ago, just because he got a blessed spawn and spawned right behind him. But gunfight 4 is going to be teammate from player B who died in gunfight 2 is now going to be winning gunfight 4 over player A that died in gunfight 1 because he spawned right behind him. So let's take a look at now gunfight 5. The same player that pushed through the far left-hand side of the map in the last scenario has done the same thing in this scenario. And he's going to win gunfight 5 over a player in the same corner that he won a gunfight in the last scenario, who was the guy who spawned there after losing gunfight 2. That seems perfectly normal. That worked in the last iteration of this as well. The problem is, this player, after gunfight 5 happens, is going to spawn over here behind player number A, who spawned there after he lost gunfight number 4. When he loses gunfight number 4, he spawns behind the player B who lost gunfight number 3, who spawned behind player A, who won gunfight number 2. So now they're all killing each other, one after the other, spawning after each other, over and 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 over again. So after player A wins gunfight number 6 on the guy at the top of the stairs who spawned there after gunfight number 3, the player who lost that gunfight on gunfight number 6 is going to spawn in the top right-hand corner of your screen, and he's going to kill the guy who won gunfight number 5 because he's going to spawn right behind him. And that's gunfight number 8. While gunfight number 7 is going to be won by player B spawning behind the player who lost gunfight 4 and killing him. Gunfight number 8's loser, A, is going to spawn back over in his original spawn, right behind the guy who just won gunfight 7 after spawning there after losing gunfight 5, and is going to win gunfight 9. And over and over and over and over and over again, these players are just going to keep spawning up in areas where they can kill each other around a 1.0 ratio, and that's going to be their easiest way for them to manipulate these games to be as close as possible, for everything to feel like everybody always just has a 1.0, because yes, you are playing people of your skill and engagement level, but you're also being manipulated by the game to make sure you're not in position to be able to win gunfights all the time and have big long kill streaks or spawn trap or do those things, because they consider that bullying less skilled players and they feel like people quit in those scenarios. But really, the game is just making sure everyone's KD stays as close to 1 as possible and everybody's matches stay as close to an even score as possible. And that's why this is laid out like this. Obviously, I've taken some liberties and exaggerated with my illustration here, but I hope this gets the point across. The game is manipulating you, and this is a far inferior spawn system. You can literally have, and I know you've had it, people you just killed spawn right behind you and kill you. You've been killed and spawned right behind the guy that killed you and was able to get a revenge kill on them. Some people are calling them literally revenge spawns. That seems to be how the game is working right now, and I think it's a big time problem. Hopefully this clarified some things for those of you that didn't understand why we're upset about the spawn system right now and what we were hoping for different in a Treyarch based game. If you guys like this video, I know it was different, not really highlighting gameplay, but I think it was important and educational. So if you did, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new here, and turn those bell notifications on if you want to know every time I post a new video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Preach out.